So, good evening, everyone. Good morning to you if you're in New Zealand or in South America. And it's great to be with you again. And pull up a chair and type in where you're from to say hi, and it'll be lovely to see you. Greta Swan, hi, that's great, and Ellie. That's lovely to see you both arriving. And Zavi. Great. Kent, Louisville, Kentucky. That's lovely to see you. North Germany and Brazil. So glad you can make it. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. To anyone else frozen? Hopefully not the screen isn't frozen. I think you mean temperature-wise. No, it's very hot here, Mike. Where on earth are you? It's very, very hot. And I guess it's hot in Germany too, Marion, and in New York, Western Colorado, I'm sure all those places. We had some friends staying from Arizona, and they were telling me it's 110 degrees. So it's lovely to see you here. And I wanted to talk to you about something that in a way is quite difficult, but I want to have fun with it, and I want to explore it with you. And I thought I'd begin by confessing, and so I thought let's climb into the confession box, and then I don't know how it works. I have to. The first thing I'm going to confess is I've never been to confession, but I think there's a kind of moving wall or something. Isn't there a shutter and the priest opens it? That's what I've seen in the movies. And let me start. And like all these things, some of the things that I say may resonate with you, and some may not. And just I'd be so interested to share with you, to hear from you, and to share with you these things. So right now I'm feeling slightly sick, and that's because I've done what I do so often if I come anywhere near chocolate, which is I finish the bar. And every time I finish the bar of chocolate, I think, why didn't I take just one little piece? But instead I finished the whole bar, and now I feel sick. And how many years do I have to do that before I learn? Same thing with meals. When I will finish the plate, if there's food on the plate, even if I've eaten half and that's enough, I'll keep going because I'll finish the plate. Now, you can say, well, this is quite simple. It was when you were a kid, you were told to finish your plate. Kids are starving in Africa, finish your plate of food and so on. That's understandable. But I think this runs much deeper. And I think if we explore this, I find quite interesting material there. I used to have this compulsion to finish things with books too. If I started a book, I had to finish the book. Even if it wasn't interesting me, I had to finish the book. Jude and Carol is saying the same thing. I absolutely had to finish the book. And of course, this was really bad news in university because you get asked to read a lot of material. And it took me a long time, up until I was in my 40s, to kind of break that habit and learn to gut a book and to skim a book and all the rest of it. Julie Babs is saying she's getting no picture or sound. Are you, me too. Are you hearing me? First of all, just tell me. You must be here. Some of you must be hearing me because you're saying, yeah. Okay, some of you are hearing me. So I think it's not a problem at this end. Okay. Hello, Cassandra from Switzerland. Okay, so I realized then when I started to ask, why do I have this obsession, this compulsion to finish books? I realized it extended to all sorts of departments in my life. I couldn't finish relationships, for instance. I was always the dumped, not the dumper. And and this became so strong that I realized that I was approaching life like a kind of juice extracting machine, that I had this belief that whatever I was doing, whether it was a book, a relationship, a piece of fruit, a movie I was watching, I had to keep grinding away at it to get the maximum nourishment. And that even if there was masses of pulp, to carry this analogy, no one wants to be quitter, said Pat. Exactly. So the culture was telling me, don't be a quitter. If you start something, finish it. And of course, then now here comes the interesting thing, is when you get into spirituality. In my teens, I used the I Ching a lot. I referred to the I Ching. And there I was constantly being told that perseverance furthers, or perseverance furthers. That somehow you'll get to your goal if you persevere. If you read spiritual biographies and autobiographies, people's lives are a series of challenges and obstacles, and the people who win are the people who just relentlessly keep going. So don't check out, don't be a wuss, just keep at it. Jinnah, the Jain religion I love very much, and I'm fascinated by it. And Jinnah is a conqueror. That's what it means. You conquer things, and of course, there's all that stress in conquering the lower self, and all that. You're going for victory. And then, if you start to study psychology, you get something rather interesting that feeds into that, which is psychology says, there's such a thing as resistance. And you have to push through resistance. The gold is beneath the surface. Just keep pushing through to go out of your comfort zone and push through to gain the benefits and to gain the insights. So, Linda, you're there ahead of me. So I got to this point where I've really taken this on board more and more, that there's some drive in me that says I have to finish everything. If I start a course of study, I'll just keep doggedly at it. And there's a way in which I think we need to stop. When I go inside and ask myself where this is coming from, I believe for me, certainly, it's actually coming from a sense of lack, that somehow something's missing. That if I can just read that book, take that extra course of study, finish that conversation, I can somehow get full, a bit like eating the bar of chocolate. Why do I keep eating the chocolate? Because if I stuff more chocolate, finally I'll feel satisfied in some way. But of course I know if I can just calm down and go inside and connect with my soul, I do feel satisfied. I don't have to complete stuff. I can drop out. I can surrender. I don't have to conquer everything. And this for me is the value of a spiritual life. It's the value of meditation, that I don't have to be constantly seeking victory, seeking conquest, seeking consumption. And it's nice to see, just looking at your comments, see you're adding insights into this, and all this was triggered. I just read, I was reading a book on the train a couple of days ago, by Timothy Ferriss. He was giving some sort of kind of techniques to make your life more productive. And he was saying, he was suggesting practice the art of non-finishing. So I thought, that's an interesting idea, the art of non-finishing. By calling it an art, it immediately reframes it as something positive, so that rather than feeling bad about not finishing something, try feel about it. So I'm really going to try and do this now, is to actually feel good about not finishing things. And I'm looking around for stuff not to finish. stuff not to finish. That's, for me, that's a very unusual idea, but it's quite revolutionary in a way. Don't finish it. It's okay not to finish it. As Catherine McNaughton, you're saying the problem of being perfectionistic, where you just keep plodding. If you're a writer, that really bugs you. You keep trying to polish the thing, to get it perfect, and to feel you have to finish a project, even if a writing project isn't really working. And it's best to actually not finish it. Just leave it alone. Maybe you'll come back to it, maybe you won't. So this is the thought for today. If this speaks to you, do let me know how you feel about this, whether this speaks to you. The art of non-finishing, of not finishing. Stephanie's really good about that when she paints for the theatre and for the opera, and as there's a real connection with creativity, I believe, because the one thing you have to know what to do as a painter is when to stop fiddling with it, because you can overwork a painting, you can overwork a book too when you're writing, and the real art is not to go to finishing something to perfection, but knowing when to let go. So let's explore this. How would this translate into our lives? Well, it would translate into dissolving the fear that we have in our lives. I put in my blog post where I talk about this, I've added a Sarah McLachlan track called Fumbling Towards Ecstasy, which for me somehow releases something in me. I find it just works. Music is a very personal thing. It just works for me to break through a certain level of fear. And for me, the spiritual response to that is to go into meditation. So let's do this now. Let's surrender. So if you feel like surrendering, let me not finish this conversation, because one of the things that I feel compelled to do is to tie everything up with a nice bow at the end of these conversations. So I've finished talking to you and all the loose ends are tied and all the logical threads are tied. But I know now that there's all sorts of ways we can go, and I haven't covered everything that I wanted to talk about, but that's okay. I'm going to not finish our conversation, and I'm going to invite you to fumble your way towards ecstasy in the following meditation. So here we go. Just becoming aware of being all together here. Just in glancing at your comments, I see that there are people from Brazil and Wales and Scotland and England and Germany and Holland and all over the place, all over the world. So here we all are in the same virtual space, which we can imagine as a clearing in the forest, a sacred grove. Here we are in the sacred grove, aware of the earth beneath our feet. And just center yourself now, just closing your eyes perhaps to better focus on yourself, and just becoming aware of the earth beneath you. The good earth beneath you. Just allowing all your tensions and anxieties to drop away. Feeling the energy of the earth with its healing energy just flowing into your body. The slow rhythm of the earth. And then you sense the roots of the trees in this earth, just behind you and around you. You can sense the life in this earth, these trees rooted deeply in the earth. You sense their trunks soaring upward. And you sense their branches, their leaves, and you breathe in the energy of these trees. You can smell them. You can smell their essential oils in the air. And you breathe in these essential oils. They bring you strength and vitality. You feel protected and safe with these trees, healed by these trees. And then you become aware of the energy of the sky. And you breathe in deeply the energy of the sky. And its vitality flows into your body. And the energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth within the center of your being. And you know that there's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. Just being here now is enough. At home with yourself, resting in being, resting in yourself and resting in all of being, in all of life, with nothing to do but just being here. Surrendering to the flow of life, to the eternal now. Where you have enough and you are enough. And you just focus on your breath. And you feel the breath moving in and out of you. Just flowing in and out. Effortlessly. And there's nothing you need to do because the breath is doing it for you. And feeling connected to your soul, connected to all of life. You gradually become aware of your body. You allow your awareness of the sacred grove to begin to fade. Just feeling comfortable and calm, seated with your computer or your phone or your tablet. Calm and at peace. And when you feel ready, you open your eyes. And so here we are sitting here. I can see little thumbs up signs and little hearts bubbling up from the screen, so I know we're still connected. And my goal is to somehow connect in with that feeling of just being present to all of life and to having enough and being enough. When I'm confronted with a bar of chocolate, or when I'm looking at a plate of food, or sitting in a cinema where I don't want to watch the film anymore, or in a conversation that is going nowhere, and just feeling comfortable about saying, I'm full now, I don't need to go on with this, I'm just going to go now. I have a lovely friend, Dan van Kampenhout. Some of you may know him. He's founded the Dutch Institute of Shamanism. I was having a meal with him in a restaurant in Amsterdam, and I was talking a lot. And he suddenly just stopped me and he said, you know, Philip, I'm full up. What you say is great. It's really interesting, but I've had enough. That if you keep talking, I'm going to get, it's going to be too much. And he did it so nicely, so lovingly. I wasn't offended. And I just stopped talking. And we settled back and smiled at each other that we'd had enough food and we'd had enough of that conversation and those ideas. And I hope to be able to reach that level of skill in interpersonal relationships and in my life where I can do that in all sorts of ways. And as Melissa's saying, to leave something unfinished is also a way to finish it. That's lovely. This is all paradoxical. This shows me that we're getting to something that's really true and vital. Because when you get to paradox, you know you're onto something. As Finley MacArthur says, this is a lot to take in at once. Yeah. So, thank you so much for being here. It's so lovely to spend this time with you. I hope you have a great evening or morning if you're on the other side of the world. And I look forward to reading your comments. Do add more, even after the live transmission finishes. And I'll see you next Monday. And let's see what we discover next Monday, what we can explore together. Okay, lots of love and au revoir.